Coming up on today's edition of the Locked On Raiders podcast, the Raiders, the NFL, and the Pro Football Hall of Fame lost a member of the family on Thursday when Ray Guy passed away at 72. We'll talk about Guy, plus hear some sounds from some folks that were near and dear to him. I'll give you my keys to victory for the Raiders on Sunday versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. Your calls and texts will close out the show. It's all coming up on Friday's edition of the Locked On Raiders podcast. Again, Friday, November 4th, 2022.
Just win. Just win. Just win. Just win.
The autumn wind is a raider, pillaging just for fun. He'll knock you round and upside down and laugh when he's conquered and won. And won. And won. And won. And won.
And welcome in, Raider Nation, to another edition of the Locked On Raiders podcast. Thank you so much for making the show your first listen each and every day. Remember, you can find the Locked On Raider podcast free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. And we're still working out the kinks, but we're going to get there. Raider Nation, please believe my man Ari is doing a lot of great work behind the scenes, trying to make it better and better each and every day. And sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not so good. Not his fault. We're working it out. And mainly the biggest problem is, this guy. But we're going to get it worked out. Today's episode of the Locked On Raiders podcast is being brought to you by BetOnline.net. They got you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline.net, that's where the game starts. So, Raider Nation, the news that we found out on Thursday, matter of fact, pretty early on Thursday, was that at the age of 72, the great Ray Guy had passed away, the Pro Football Hall of Fame punter. That's right, the only punter in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, the former first-round draft pick, number 23 overall in 1973, unheard of to get a punter in the first round, right? The Raiders did it. They saw what he did in college and said, yep, that's the guy we want. When John Madden talked about him, said that, that was a guy that when they went to draft him in the first round, nobody had an argument. Now, Raider Nation, we've talked draft a lot here on the show, right? We do it every offseason. We talk about the draft, and we always talk about the arguments about the first-round picks. Actually, first-round picks, second-round picks, third-round picks, it doesn't matter. There's always an argument or at least a debate about the players. They had no debate over Ray Guy. They just knew, yep, that's going to be our guy, pick 23 in 1973, first-round pick. That's who was going to be Ray Guy. And it was a good decision, obviously. Played 14 years all with the Raiders, 3-time Super Bowl champion. Again, only punter in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And that's not all. He's actually in 6 Hall of Fames to be exact. The Mississippi Hall of Fame, the Georgia Hall of Fame, the National High School Hall of Fame, the Collegiate Hall of Fame, the Bay Area Hall of Fame, and the Pro Football Hall of Fame. That's awesome. And if that wasn't enough, how about having a collegiate award named after him? The Ray Guy Award going out to the nation's best collegiate punter. That was established in year 2000, and it reigns strong to this day. And obviously, that's a great award for punters to get. And really, Ray Guy changed the game, right? I mean, he changed the way that punters were looked at. For the longest, they were looked at as just, that's just a punter. That's just a kicker, whatever the case may be. Now they're looked at as weapons, guys that can change the game, guys that can flip the field, guys that do the work, right, that help out the defense and help out the offense. If they pin the ball back deep, then guess what? Then the defense, all they have to do is get a 3 and out, and the offense is going to get the ball back. They should get the ball back in good field position. So really, the punter helps out the defense and the offense. Ray Guy is the one who did that. And to the Raiders' credit, they've always had a nice little plethora of really good punters. Ray Guy, obviously. Shane Leckler. Marquette King was a really good punter for while he was there with the silver and black. A.J. Cole, obviously, he's doing his thing as well. So the Raiders, for some reason, have an eye for really good punters, and they do get them, but none better than Ray Guy. None better in all the land than Ray Guy. And so just shout him out. And it's funny, when I was talking about him on Raider Nation Radio 920 on Thursday, we were talking about him having the Ray Guy Award named after him. And then I realized, what about the Belindikoff Award, right? Freddie Belindikoff. What about the Hendricks Award? Ted Hendricks, right? I mean, all those guys, former Raiders, all those guys have awards in college named after him. So hats off to the silver and black. Obviously, they knew what they were doing when they got all those guys in the mix with the Raiders. But so Ray Guy passing away at the age of 72. I had some sound that was sent over to me by the Raiders, the organization. They said, Q, you might be interested in this. And I didn't know exactly what it was going to be, but I knew it was some sound that had to do with Ray Guy. And there was people that were going to be talking about Ray Guy, but I didn't know to what the extent was. And then I listened to it and thought, oh, okay, it's pretty intriguing. Alan Page, Art Shell, Ken Herrick, Morris Bradshaw, Phil Villapiano, Chris Barr, and Jeff Gossett all talking about the late, great Ray Guy. And this is not obviously today. This is not yesterday when he passed away. This is just a collection of guys talking about Ray Guy from the time that he was drafted, from the first training camp, from the time he had a broken leg. I mean, just all kind of stuff that they were, they were talking about. But I thought it was pretty good and pretty intriguing. So it's about 5 minutes, but here's a compilation from all those guys talking about the late, great Ray Guy.
My impression at the time was he was one of the best ever because he could punt it out of the stadium, both in terms of length and height. And those kind of things make a huge difference. A good punter can be outcome determinative in a game, and he had that ability.
Al took Ray Guy in the first round. We said, who? Ray Guy? A punter? Wow. So now we're waiting. We want to see this guy. Then we have a mini camp. Guy comes with a cast on his leg. What? What the hell is going on here? The first day of training camp, after the regular practice is over, we go through a special team field goal, and then we go to punt team. Most of the time, the guys would walk off the field and watch no punter, but everybody stood out there to watch. And when he hit that first ball, boom! Did you see that? Did you see that? We knew we had something special. He was special.
I'm down at Southern Miss watching Ray Guy play to Alabama. He's a quarterback, a safety, punter, kickoff guy. So Bear Bryant knew he was a weapon. He punts, and they come after him and knock him out of the game. He knew to get him out of the game. This was a big part of Southern Miss's whole team. And after that, we never saw Ray Guy again. We saw him on tape. He has a broken leg before we draft him. And I'm thinking to myself, hey, I saw him. I got a high grade. I saw the best punter I've ever seen in my life. But am I sure I know what I'm doing? I was a special teams coach. I knew what it was to be a punter, a kicker, and so forth. But you're never sure when you're going to take a punter in the first round. I'm thinking to myself, oh my God. I'm thinking second, third round or something, you see. Mr. Davis said, this is the best player on the board. It's the best player to help the Oakland Raiders. We're taking him in the first round. Everybody just looking, thinking, wow, we're taking a punter. Nobody's ever taken a punter in the first round. But we did it. Turned out just the way Mr. Davis wanted it to be. And I'll never forget the look on his face. We're playing an all-star game in Lubbock, Texas, a college all-star game. I'm there the week before to be with the players that we had drafted that week, just talking to them, being around them. In comes Mr. Davis and Ron Wolf. They come into the stadium at Texas Tech, and there happened to be punting at that time. Mr. Davis walks down the ramp. I'm already on the field waiting for him. I'm down at the far end zone. He's punting from one end zone down there. All of a sudden, that ball goes about 70 yards in the air. Mr. Davis looked and says, I've seen enough. We got ourselves a great player. And that was him. That was Mr. Davis. He said, I've seen enough. He didn't have to watch anymore. That was it.
Ray Guy, arguably, was the best athlete on the field, all-around athlete. He could do it all. He could run, he could throw, he could catch, he could throw the ball farther than anyone on the team. I think he was our emergency quarterback at one time, and I think he was a quarterback in high school, defensive back. He played basketball, he played baseball. I think he was a pitcher. He was just a phenomenal athlete.
What a weapon a punter is. I don't think the whole nation realized a punt can switch field position 50 yards. Ray could switch it 75 yards. That is huge. And he's a defense best friend. He put that ball so far down there, they'd have to go 90 yards. It was wonderful. Ray was also a defensive back, also a quarterback. Ray could have probably played 3 positions if he wanted to. Great Hall of Fame. I'm so happy he was the first punter to get in. Kudos to him. He changed punting in the NFL.
Ray was not only a great punter, but he was technically as good as there was. His punting motion, if they used Jerry West for the logo for the NBA, Ray would be the logo for punters. You just can't imagine how good he was until you're sitting there trying to catch his punts. Ray was also an amazing athlete. He was a great baseball player. He was a good golfer. I think as punters and kickers, sometimes people forget that a lot of them are pretty good athletes.
When I was a punter in college, I looked at Ray Guy and I said he was the best punter in the league already, being a number one pick. That didn't matter. He performed every week. And his form was amazing, so I tried to emulate myself then as a college punter to punt like Ray Guy because he had the perfect form. No one else in the league that I could think of had the form like Ray. And he had the hang time. He was accused of helium, all this stuff, but he was the best punter ever, by far.
So there you go, right there. I thought that was pretty cool, pretty intriguing to hear from Alan Page, Art Shell, Ken Herrick, Morris Bradshaw, Phil Villapiano, Chris Barr, and Jeff Gossett, all on Ray Guy. Real quick, before we wrap up segment number one, I did want to go over the injury report for Thursday. Guys that were limited: Divine Diablo, dealing with a back and wrist injury. He actually didn't participate on Wednesday, limited on Thursday. Neil Farrell, the defensive tackle, knee injury, limited Wednesday, limited on Thursday. Mac Hollins, dealing with the heel injury, limited both Wednesday and Thursday. And tight end Darren Waller, limited Wednesday and Thursday, still dealing with the hamstring injury. I'm sure he'll be limited today. And I'm sure it'll be a game time decision like he was last Sunday. And, you know, if I'm being 100% honest with you, and I always am going to be 100% honest with you, he probably won't play on Sunday, right? I'll actually be surprised if he plays. I know I heard he was close on Sunday with the Saints, but I would not be shocked at all if the Raiders gave him another week off and decided, you know what, we'll just rest you until you get back to Allegiant Stadium and then play you. If he can go then. I don't know. I just feeling is that this hamstring injury is going to linger and linger and linger. And it stinks because, man, he could be such a big part of the offense. And really the offense needs a big jolt, right? After what happened on Sunday against the Saints, they need as many other weapons as possible out there healthy and contributing. So we'll see. Maybe I'll be surprised and Darren Waller plays on Sunday. But again, I would be surprised. So that's all I got for you for segment number one of today's Locked On Raiders podcast, news and notes of the day. Coming up in segment number two, going to give you my keys to victory. What do the Raiders need to do to come away with the win, improve to 3-5 on the season, and improve to and head back to Allegiant Stadium to host the Indianapolis Colts? We'll tell you about that coming up after I tell you about a couple of the great sponsors, including Prediction Strike, the world's first sports stock market. You can now invest in professional athletes just like stocks. It's a lower risk alternative to sports betting. Athletes' prices move based on performance and supply and demand. One example, Jalen Hurts. If you invested in him 1 year ago, right now, you'd be up 48.2%. I know you saw what he did Thursday night as week 9 of the NFL season got kicked off, and the Eagles improved to 8-0 on the regular season, the only undefeated team in the league. If you'd invested in Hurts a year ago, you'd be up a lot right now. There's other players that you'd be up with. Rashad Penny, you'd be up with him. Kyle Pitts, you'd be down with him. So there's a lot to like about it. It's just a lot of fun that you can have and actually invest in players. You can invest in 4 sports, not just the NFL. They got UFC, NBA, MLB, along with the NFL. And everyone knows about investing, and everyone knows that probably it's a good idea, but why don't you invest in something that you actually know and love and are a football fanatic? That's exactly what you should do. Right now, download the Prediction Strike app and use code LOCKED for a free share when you sign up and make a first deposit of $20 or more. That's promo code LOCKED for a special one-time giveaway. Prediction Strike will choose one person who signs up with the code LOCKED and make a deposit to win 100 free random shares. That could be worth up to $3,000 if you get lucky and receive Josh Allen shares. Invest in what you know on Prediction Strike, the stock market for sports. I also want to tell you about Built Bar. And I haven't told you about Built Bar in a while. They're still around doing their thing, but just haven't told you about them in a while. And, you know, there's some good flavors to choose from right now. It's that time of year where you have visitors come over your house, probably have some fun weekends with them, and you're watching some really good sports, college football, as it's getting down to the wire, and you're going to be checking out, the college football playoffs sooner rather than later. Of course, the World Series, the Astros are now at 3-2, so maybe you're going to have, a game, a game 6, party or something, whatever the case may be, and you need some snacks. Well, that's where Built Bar comes in. How about cookie dough topper, coconut brownie bar, coconut brownie topper? They have all these available, plus white chocolate peppermint granola. They have candy cane brownie puff. They have everything that you need. Any flavor that could be potentially the one that you really like, they have for you. Low in calories, high in protein, low in sugar, high in great taste. That's what Built Bar provides for you, and you can get it right now at Built.com. That is the website. Use the promo code LOCKEDON15, and you'll save 15% when you go to checkout. Again, LOCKEDON15, get you 15% off your order when you go to checkout. Get a great tasting protein bar, get a great tasting snack, and do it for the holidays that are coming up and all the time that you're going to spend with your family and friends, probably at the crib. Built Bar is the way to go. Built.com, promo code LOCKEDON15. All right, Raider Nation, here we go. Segment number 2 of today's Locked On Raiders podcast. Want to talk about keys to victory for the Raiders on Sunday. What do they need to do to come away with the win on Sunday against the Jaguars? We heard from Tony Wiggins, host of Locked On Jags, on Thursday on the crossover edition. He thinks the Raiders are going to win. I think the Raiders are going to win. I talked to Mike DeRocco from ESPN. He covers the Jaguars. Talked to him on Thursday on my radio show. He thinks that the Raiders are going to win. But Do the Raiders think that they're going to win? That's what's going to be really the big key. They've got to go in there with the attitude that they're going to win. So let's start off offensively. What do they need to do after being shut out by the Saints and not passing the 50-yard line until late in the game when Jarrett Stidham was the quarterback? They got to get off to a fast start. I don't care if they get the ball first. In this game, I like them to defer and get the ball in the second half. But in this game, they might want to get the ball first. They might want to get the ball first and just go out there with the attitude and purpose and make it happen. Let it be known that they're there to win the game, not be, gifted the game at the end, but to go win the game and take what they want. Got to get off to a fast start offensively. And part of getting off to a fast start offensively, get Davante Adams involved. I think Davante Adams, and I've only seen 7 games with the silver and black that he's been, but I feel like he might be one of those guys that you just got to get him a touch early or a couple touches early. So in their first 15 snaps, they're always scripted, right? In that first possession, no matter if you get the ball first or you get it second, get the ball to Davante Adams on one of the first 3 snaps, right? I don't care if you run the ball with Jacobs first and second down. That's fine. That's a good way to go. That's actually one of my keys to the game is get Josh Jacobs going. But make sure that one of these passes, you get a quick screen to Davante Adams or a quick slant or something that he can a quick hitter. It doesn't have to be a big, long developing play. Just get him involved, get him focused. He could be one of those guys. I don't know for a fact, but there's certain guys that have to get touches early. If they don't, they kind of lose track of the game and lose engagement in the game. And I feel like that's some of what we saw on Sunday against the Saints when, you saw him put a couple balls on the ground that I feel like Davante Adams should catch. And it just seems like a lack of concentration. So get him involved early. He feels like it could be a big game for him, and then he'll stay locked in. So that's what they got to do offensively. Get off to a fast start, get Davante involved, and, of course, Josh Jacobs continue to run the rock, loosen the guys up, and make it easier for everyone else out there. Hunter Renfrow and Mac Hollins. If Aaron's out there, great. If not, that's fine. Just whoever, is out there, make it easier for them. Foster Moreau, whatever the case may be, once Jacobs gets going, everything loosens up for everybody else. Defensively, I only got 2 keys to the game defensively for the Raiders. 1, don't let Travis Etienne wreck the game. Travis Etienne is not Alvin Kamara, but he's Alvin Kamara-like, in my opinion, right? He got the same skill set. Catch the ball, run the ball. Run the ball, catch the ball. He is basically the offense for the Jaguars. Everything goes through him, and then it branches off of him, right? I know that they got Christian Kirk. I know that they got Zay Jones. I know that they have other weapons, but Travis Etienne is the engine that makes everything go. Don't allow him to wreck the game, right? He can run downhill. He can run strong between the tackles. He can also catch the ball in the backfield and do some real magic, work some magic for that offense. So don't let him go all the way Alvin Kamara on you. And you know what happened with Alvin Kamara a week ago? 3 touchdowns, and he had no touchdowns on the season, but he really had a great coming out party against the Raiders. The defense cannot allow that to happen. And then Trevor Lawrence has been turning the ball over quite a bit lately. Turned the ball over at 2 interceptions thrown last week against Denver. He's going to give you a chance. He's going to throw the ball up there, and you just got to go make the play. So I'm looking at the corners. I'm looking at the safeties. I'm looking at somebody's got to make a play. Get the ball back to the offense a couple times with the short field by way of turnover. If he gives you that opportunity, you got to go take it. I believe that it's going to be there, and I believe the Raiders could come away with 2 interceptions or at least 2 turnovers they can create on Sunday. I think they need to come up with both of those. Special teams, make the Jags travel the length of the field on kickoffs and punts, right? AJ Cole, do your best Ray Guy impersonation. Make them, go the whole length of the field to score. Make them earn their points is basically what I'm trying to say. Don't give them a short field. Don't, punt a really good punt and outkick your coverage, and then the coverage unit's not very good, and all of a sudden they're working with a short field. And if you're Daniel Carlson, again, kick the ball out of the end zone, or just kick it so well that your coverage unit, has an opportunity to get down there and pin them, but make them travel the length of the field. Special teams has got to be big in the kicking game, both punting and kickoffs. It's just as simple as that. I don't think the Jaguars, you make them earn it, you make them go the length of the field, I don't think they'll do it consistently. I really don't. Overall, don't turn the ball over. Protect the rock. Play angry and with the attitude, man. I want to see some anger. I want to see some attitude. I want to see some excitement. We saw none of that on Sunday. And then take the game. Don't wait for Jacksonville, who has been known to give the game away. Don't wait for them to do that. Just take the game from them. Say, you know what? This ain't your day. I know you're at your house, but this ain't your day. We've been here in Sarasota, Florida all week long. Been, getting acclimated to the humidity and the heat that's going on in Florida. we're ready for you. I know you're coming back from London. We got you, right? If you're the Raiders, that's what you've got to be saying. Go handle their business. Give them, take their lunch money. Be a bully. Let's put it like that. The one time that being a bully is cool, Sunday. The Raiders need to be a bully and bully the mess out of the Jaguars and just take their lunch money from them and head back to Vegas with a dub under their belt. So that's what I got for you. Don't turn the ball over. Play angry and with the attitude and take the game. Don't wait for Jacksonville to give it to you. Offensively, fast start, get Devontae involved, run Josh Jacobs. Defensively, don't let Travis Etienne wreck the game and force a turnover or two by Trevor Lawrence. So that's all I got for you here in segment number 2 of today's Locked On Raiders podcast. Coming up in segment number 3, your calls and text straight off that Locked On Raider podcast voicemail line, 707-654-4693. Before I get to that, though, I do want to tell you about LinkedIn Jobs. And it could be any time of year when you need to start hiring folks, right? That's where LinkedIn Jobs comes in, because who wants to go into, the job hiring process and really almost be blind, where you don't know who you're talking to, you don't know who you're interviewing, and you're probably wasting your time. LinkedIn Jobs can help you right then and there. They'll make sure that you are 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available. Check out LinkedIn Jobs. They'll help you find the right people for your job faster and for free. You can easily create a free job post on LinkedIn Jobs. You can add your job and the purple hashtag hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile. That'll spread the word that you're hiring. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience, so you can quickly prioritize who you like to interview and who you like to hire. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs number 1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. Right now, LinkedIn Jobs will help you find the qualified candidate you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Here we go, Raider Nation, segment number 3 of today's Locked On Raiders podcast, closing things out with your calls and texts as we always do, 707-654-4693. Let's start off with Edgar in the 209. He's calling to talk about the offensive coaches and what they're doing right now in his opinion. Edgar from the 209.
What's up, Q? It's Edgar from the 209. Before I get into my thoughts on the offensive coaching staff, I want to wish you a happy birthday and I hope you have a great day. I think the offensive coaches has ruined the pass game, compared to last year at least. It's not a coincidence our passing game declines after signing Devontae Adams while extending Hunter Renfrow and Darren Waller. The play calling has been very inconsistent and I have yet to see the play calling show to the playmaker's strength. For example, what happened to third and Renfrow? His strengths are short catch and run routes, and none of that from last year has been shown this year. The play calling needs to be designed for our players' strengths. We see that with Josh Jacobs right now, and he's been a beast, but the outside of the run game, nothing's been consistent. Like what was brought up earlier this week, when a play is designed for one person and that's blown up by the defense, Carr struggles because the play calling doesn't fit all of the receivers' strengths. I'd like to see a change in the direction of play calling and see how different the offense could change. Hopefully the dynamic offense we all thought we were going to have at the start of the season. I'd like to hear what you think, or, have any thoughts on what I'm bringing up or the play calling in general. Lastly, I'd like to give a special birthday shout out to my brother Cisco Kid in the 209. I'm sure he's listening right now. I love you, bro. Keep working hard. Let's hope the Raiders get a win Sunday for your birthday. I'll see you this weekend so we can watch the game together. I'm out, Q. Keep up the great work as always. Just win, baby.
Edgar, thank you so much for that call, my man. I appreciate you. And, I can say right now, it might not be actually the play calling, but it might be the way the coaching staff is telling these guys to run the play, if that makes sense. Like the route running, the precision that they want them to make sure that they're running with, just the way that they execute everything. I believe that could be something. And what makes me say that is Vinny Bonsignore, who's in Sarasota, Florida, has been with the Raiders all week long, told me on Thursday on my radio show. You can go back and listen to the podcast of Unnecessary Roughness, and you'll hear from him when he said, I think you'll start to see Hunter Renfrow do what Hunter Renfrow did before that made him who he was. Now, he didn't say he was going to go out there and not listen to the coaches, but he's been trying to be such a, precise how the coaching staff wants him to run things, that he's been trying to do things differently than what he normally does. And sometimes you just got to let a guy be a guy, or if you're that guy, you got to go out and be that guy. So I think you might see, especially from Hunter, a little bit different approach to this game. And that to me is exciting. I think that that's something that would be good. And that might be the problem that the Raiders are having. It might be one of those where they're thinking too much offensively and defensively, and they're not being able to execute the way that they want to. So they might have to, and I'm talking about the coaches, they might have to loosen up the the straps a little bit and allow them to kind of do what made them great. What made Devontae Adams great, let him be great. What made Hunter Renfrow great, let him be great. So it might not be the play calling, but it might be the way that they're asking these guys to execute the play. So thank you so much for that call. I do appreciate you. Next up, I got a text from Omar in El Paso. He says, "Hey, Q, it's Omar from El Paso, formerly of Fort Worth. The Raiders are like family. They make you proud, angry, and embarrassed. This Sunday was the latter, kind of like catching them kissing a first cousin in Paris. I've never been so stoked during the preseason, never been so bummed in the season. This Sunday, I'll be going to my first Raider game flying into Jacksonville. A dream come true, turning into a feeling I'd assume you'd have if you were going to court." Q, I'm sure you've traveled dreading to cover a team. Any tips on what I can do mentally or physically to turn this frown upside down headed to the game? Thanks for keeping us off the metaphorical ledge. Omar from El Paso. And Omar, first of all, congratulations, man. You're going to your first game. You know what? Just enjoy it, right? You know what I'm saying? Just go into it with the expectations that, you know what, they're going to win this game for me. I know that the team has a better team than Jacksonville, and if they go out there and execute, they should win the game. They really should. So don't be bummed headed to the game, right? Just go into it with a positive attitude. Enjoy the sights and sounds. Enjoy Raider Nation that's going to be there. Make some more friends out there. Just soak it all in and have a good time. I'll tell you right now, I've covered some real terrible teams from high school to college to the NFL, whatever the case may be. I've been to some real bad assignments, but you know what? No assignment's ever been a bad assignment because I'm on the road. I'm enjoying a game. I'm seeing whatever I'm seeing. You know what I mean? Like it's fun. It's entertainment. It's something that everyone doesn't get an opportunity to do. So, there's a lot of folks out there that have never been to a game and probably will never go to a game. So don't be bummed. Don't have a frown. Be excited. And hopefully when you leave the game on Sunday, you'll be even more pumped up and excited. So that would be my best piece of advice, man. Just don't get too down. Don't allow this game to bother you that much. Don't allow it to take your joy away. I mean, because that's a problem right there, that even if they win, it won't give you that satisfaction that you're looking for. So hopefully you understand what I'm saying and just have a good time, my man. Soak it all in and let us know about it. Call me on Monday and let me know, or call Sunday after the game while you're walking out of the stadium with a dub on your belt. Go ahead and give me a call and tell me about it. All right. Appreciate you. Got a couple more for you. Raider Jim in the Pacific Northwest calling to talk about Sunday's performance against the Saints, and also talks about the team and what he's been noticing throughout the season so far. Here he is, Raider Jim in the Pacific Northwest.
Greetings, Boy Q. It's Raider Jim from the Pacific Northwest. It's been some time since I called, so hey, a shout out to Raider Al from Georgia. It saddens my heart to know that you, Al, and many of our Raider Nation folk had to witness that pathetic and abysmal showing of our team in New Orleans last Sunday. Frankly, I don't think I've ever been so disappointed, Raider Nation. Really. I mean, I'm just astounded at the ineptitude in all facets of how we have performed, not only this past Sunday, but ever since the season began. I know we all took umbrage with all the know-it-alls that discounted us and how we rank compared to others in the AFC West. Well, as it stands right now, they were correct, and we stink. Credit to the caller earlier this week when he pointed out and identified the flu-like symptoms a handful of Raiders had before we played the Saints, but maybe so. So what? It's of little solace for me and my delirium regarding our team. So let's hope a Sarasota soiree will embolden better play against the Jags than the putrid showing last week in the Superdome. It's also time to shine a light on some festering circumstances first highlighted a few weeks ago by P.E. from North Carolina. He pointed out the common denominator of some high-profile mishaps on the gridiron that are squarely on the shoulders of Davante Adams. And I completely concur with that. P.E., you are so wise and you have a keen eye to showcase how. The emperor has no clothes. What is Adams doing out there? Hey, I like the silver shoes. I especially like the silver chain he sports. In my eyes, it's what every Raider should wear. But we could do without the ESPN cover story or all the freaking endorsements he's garnered. In other words, what good does it all do if you go silent for games or quarters of games? Derek Carr, come on. You have a great cast in Adams, Renfro, Hollins, Gordon, Morrow, an O-line that's decent. You have the greatest O-coach. That's a QB's dream. Mr. Davis has shown you grace and patience. Bottom line, play football. Don't play like a QB. You wear number 4 because you revere Brett Favre. Well, hey, Favre was first and foremost a football player and a QB second. You have been with this franchise for 9 years. 9 years! And you, Derek Carr, are the biggest common denominator for sure. Many of your listeners, Q, know that I have had the utmost faith in DC, but the time has come. Either win out or get out. The prime thing for success in professional football is winning. You have to win. Otherwise, you cannot succeed in the NFL. That's a quote from Al Davis. This is Raider Jim from the Pacific Northwest. Raiders all day, every day.
Thank you for the call, my man. It's great to hear from you. And it's very confusing, frustrating to see what in the world is going on with this team, right? Kind of went into lengthy detail about it earlier when I was talking to Edgar in the 209, but something's obviously got to change. Just don't know exactly where to put your finger on it, what exactly is the number one issue. But DC, Adams, Renfro, they've got to get things figured out. McDaniels, Graham, they've all got to get things figured out. Right now, two guys who I say got everything figured out, Josh Jacobs and Max Crosby, because they're the ones out there balling out, or at least attempting to ball her out. So they got stuff that they got to figure out, and I'm assuming that they will. I know assuming is a little dangerous, but I'm assuming that they're going to get things figured out. Thank you so much for that. Next up, and this will close us out today, got a text from Eric in NorCal, and you got to bear with me because this is a long one. Hey, Q, this is Eric from NorCal. I really love Raider Nation, but I have some hard truths for this fan base that want to blame Carr for the lack of success and question his leadership. There's been no commitment to excellence. There hasn't been for most of my life. From 2003 to 2013, the Raiders' record was 53-123. They were the laughingstock of football. Nobody wanted to play in Oakland because they stunk, were poorly managed, and were forced to play on dirt through October. Carr embraced it. My entire life I've heard about the greatness of the Raiders, but in my life, the Raiders have lost far more than they've won. Our legends get older, and our well is empty for future legends. It's easy to look at the quarterback and blame him. He has been the most consistent person this franchise had. Through everything, he has not once disparaged his franchise. He has only expressed his pride. The questions on lack of leadership don't match what I see year to year. He stood tall and answered questions about relocation. On the last day in Oakland, he went around and shook fans' hands while many people threw beer cans and garbage at him. He stood tall and answered questions about Gruden being fired. He held the locker room together after the Henry Ruggs tragedy. He leads by example through being the human he is, which is why everyone has expressed their love for him. From Khalil Mack to James Jones to Amari Cooper to Max Crosby, the leadership resonates more than him screaming like Brady while flying a private jet in on Saturday night. It's harder to come to the realization that there's been systematic leadership issues, something that even the best players can't control and overcome. Raider Nation can hope we'll draft the next Mahomes, but they are going to be severely disappointed with the fact more teams miss on quarterbacks than hit, and that even if they do hit on one, he won't have the loyalty of Carr and work through the tire fire that seems to burn out of control year after year. We need to build around the pieces we have because we have a chance with talent at some of the key positions. I already don't have the opportunity to tell my 3-year-old son about the greats I saw growing up. He needs to be able to tell his kids about the Hall of Famers and players he watched that showed what it means to be a Raider. That right there is a lengthy text from Eric in NorCal, but it's funny that he sent that text in because that was just about the conversation I had on Raider Nation Radio 920. Kind of got on my soapbox on Thursday and was saying, you know what, especially with the passing of Ray Guy, I was saying the greatness of the Raiders is passing away right in front of us. All the Hall of Famers are getting older and older and older, or like Cliff Branch, not even alive when he gets into the Hall of Fame, right? And there hasn't been enough quality players since, 2000s, the early 2000s, 2003, like you mentioned, to right now that say, oh, yeah, that's going to be the next wave of Hall of Famers. Outside of Charles Woodson, maybe Eric Allen will get in. I mean, who else is there? Maybe Steve Wisniewski, but it just isn't guys that you just know, hey, that guy's going to go in. Right. And like you said, our kids don't know of any legends. They just don't. They don't know of any that are, guys. Oh, hey, Amari Cooper was good. Oh, Khalil Mack was fun. But neither one of those guys are with the team anymore. Right. So, yeah, I understand completely where he's coming from. And when it comes to Carr, that's the one thing. He didn't pull a Russell Wilson and complain and cry and be like, I want out of here. And you know what? At some point, I wouldn't blame him if he did. If he said, you know what? I've given everything I got. I just can't do it. Let me go somewhere else. I don't think anyone could blame him. I think at some point, as I mentioned before on the show multiple times, that the Raiders will draft a guy to be the next guy. But, Derek Carr has done everything that Eric said in NorCal, and I know everyone's not 100% always sold on Carr or happy with everything he does, but I'll tell you what, that if there's been a good soldier on the Raiders, it's been Derek Carr. So great text from Eric in NorCal. I appreciate you. That's going to close out the show, man. We're going to wrap it up just like that. Thanks so much for making the show your first listen each and every day. Remember, you can find the show free and available on all platforms. Again, we're working out this YouTube thing. My man Ari, he gives me tips each and every day on how I can make it better, and we're working on it together. So shout out to Ari for all the hard work that he's doing. Again, on Twitter at Ari Produces. You can check him out. If you have any comments, you can definitely hit him up on Twitter as well and let him know what you're thinking. But thank him for all the hard work that he's doing behind the scenes, putting up with my shenanigans and my crazy work schedule as well. So thank you, Ari. I do appreciate you. And Raider Nation, I appreciate you as well. Thanks for all the birthday wishes from Thursday. That was awesome. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the game. And Omar, make sure you join the game, man. You're going to the game. Make sure you enjoy it, right? Don't go to the game and be bummed out, man. Go to the game and have a lot of fun. So Raider Nation, we'll talk again on Monday. Hopefully we're talking about a victory. I believe we will be, but they got to go do it, and they got to get it done on the field. So until then, Raider Nation, take care of yourself, take care of your family, love on your family, and most importantly, as always, just win, baby.